Happy Monday. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez. First, I want to announce a very special guest today. We have Elizabeth Johnston, the activist mommy. Yep. Yay, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And Glenn, what is your top story today?
Probably Joe Biden, thinking.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, Stu?
I'm just going to go generally with people creepily touching other women's random hair.
Okay.
And sniffing it.
All right. Oh, man. Happy Monday, Elizabeth.
Sorry to be off topic. The day of mourning in Richmond, Virginia, this Saturday.
All right. Got a lot to get into, but first we want to thank our sponsor, Riduzone. So, Elizabeth's new. I can show her. I always like it when new guests come and I get to show off my before pictures.
Wow.
Oh, I wish I got a reaction. She's like, oh gosh, that's you? Wow. So I lost a bunch of weight, like 100 pounds 12 years ago. And, you know, it's hard to lose weight and then maintain. So that is where a product called Riduzone can help those of you who are struggling to lose the extra weight. They've taken the good molecule in olive oil and put it into a capsule that has been shown to boost your metabolism and also help you feel full. I use it to maintain. It works beautifully. I use it every day, and we have gotten so much feedback from you guys out there, from the viewers that have tried it. They say it's working for them. Summer is around the corner. Now is the time to order Riduzone.com. Go there now. You can use promo code THEBLAZE, and you will get 30% off of a 3-month supply. That is RIDUZONE.com, promo code THEBLAZE. Glenn, your top story.
I just think that there's a lot of people that think it's creepy that a guy would just, you know, hang on just a second.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people would think it would be creepy that the president or a vice president or anybody would play with women's hair and think that's weird. He's a man of power, and I don't think that anybody should have a problem with it. He just likes that, and so do women, right? Yes, I do. I love that.
No.
She loves that. Remember, no dating until you're at least 31. Oh, yeah.
I was going to say for future lawsuits, at no point did Glenn ask her permission.
Wait a minute. What?
I was
Hashtag me too.
Hey, God bless you.
Wow. Quadruple pay for today.
I looked at Kay earlier and I was like, Kay, would you? And she's like, I'll take one for the team.
Might I just add about 2 seconds before we went live, so she didn't really have an option.
I find this a little like Michael Jackson. I find this as, you know, there were some of us who were like, he's got an amusement park in the backyard. This might be a sign that he's not safe with children. And everybody dismissed it because he was famous. And we're dismissing this one because we think, well, he's 78 or however old he is, and he's just Joe, and that's the way he is. And maybe he's just really friendly, and maybe nobody has told him that's the way, you know, you don't behave in society. No, I don't care what the excuses are. That's weird.
Oh, my word. Personal space.
Probably not.
Hey, you never know these days.
Yeah, well, you know, he's just, I love this one because this one says president. See right here, he's a motorcycle guy.
Look at the man to the right.
Troll, yeah. His jacket says President Troll. And they're not happy. Look at neither of them. Both the guys know.
Mad.
This is an example of the American society. The guys know. The guys know. But the women are like either, no, he didn't really mean that. I mean, he's president of the United States or vice president, so he didn't really mean that. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. He wants to get away with it.
Well, or he's vice president of the United States. Therefore, I feel very awkward having to push back. I mean, chime in with me, Elizabeth, as a woman and that person of such power.
I'm meeting
kind of an uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm meeting Glenn for the first time today, and he would never invade my space like that. That is clearly inappropriate. You know, there's a distance that you keep professionally.
Let's say I was the vice president, and you were meeting me, And
Yeah, but you're Glenn Beck and I'm meeting you.
but that happened. You would say that was a little.
I think I would minimally jerk away.
Right.
But it's hard with a person of power.
I don't know that I would verbally. I think that with my nonverbal cues, I would try to kind of inch away, you know, and try to
like all the video of the people
yes,
who are
exactly.
doing it.
Exactly, they're doing it, but I don't know that I would feel comfortable enough. And you guys know how outspoken I am. I don't know that I'd be comfortable enough to say stop.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I think the deal is that you get into that situation and you think, okay, this is weird. And you're looking for any signs of normalcy. So you're not willing to go to, this is creepy, weird sexual stuff. And so you just go to the normalcy bias and think, okay, well, I just misread that. Well, no, you didn't. You didn't misread that.
Well, what's interesting, I think, about this one is usually these Me Too sort of allegations that we've dealt with have, had a side A and side B to them. Here, really, I mean, even if he didn't do this to this one particular woman in Nevada who was running for lieutenant governor, like, we all have seen him on tape do it 100 times. Like, this is something he just does. It's part of who he is. And I think it could very well be the Michael Jackson. I don't want to dismiss the Michael Jackson analogy.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to find a Ferris wheel in his backyard. But it's weird. I mean, he talks about Jill, my lovely wife Jill. At some point, doesn't Jill go, dude, knock it off?
I'm surprised that didn't happen if it didn't happen. I mean, at some
point.
point.
Just from the photos and the videos.
But I think a part of it, too, is this sort of thing we do with people in power, and we elevate them to these strange levels where they can just walk around and do things and no one ever corrects them on it. You were talking about both
John Mulaney.
Yeah. Are you talking about Thomas Massey, and I was thinking of Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
You told a couple stories.
John Mulaney is this comedian, and he writes for used to write for Saturday Night Live, and he's one of my new favorite comedians. I love him. And he was talking about, and by the way, hi John, I know you probably hate my guts, but I don't care. And he was talking about writing for Saturday Night Live, and he said at one point, Mick Jagger came in, and he said, you don't know what it's like to try to write comedy with Mick Jagger, because he just sat there in the couch and he was like, not funny. And it's like, who says that? Who just blurts out, not funny? And he said, and then at times he would just go, Diet Coke, and a Coke would appear. And he said, this is a guy who has lived this life since the 1960s that doesn't know that things just don't appear, that the average person just doesn't go, not funny, steak, and it appears. And I think that could be what's happening here. Joe has been in the behind that bubble since what, 1971, 73? He has no idea what real life is like. Nobody's telling him anything anymore.
Yeah. We have a clip of Joe in a speech where he makes a couple of really interesting points about this topic and how it actually winds up applying to him. Let me watch.
Folks, I realize I get a little too passionate about this sometimes, but we all have an obligation to do nothing less than change the culture in this country. It's just the laws. We change the laws. Change the culture. The culture. You all know what the phrase rule of thumb means? Where it's derived from? In English common law. Not codification law. Common law. Back in the late 1300s, so many women were dying at the hands of their husbands because they were a chattel, just like the cattle or the sheep.
We log on to Snopes.
That the court of common law decided they had to do something about the extent of the death. So you know what they said? No man has a right to chastise his woman with a rod thicker than the circumference of his thumb. This is English jurisprudential culture. A white man's culture. It's got to change. It's got to change.
It's dramatic.
When we were talking about, remember when we said about Barack Obama, I was at Fox, I said, change to what? Hope for what? Hope in what? And change to what? That, we're now seeing it. It is to change the culture. It's to change us entirely from a traditional Judeo-Christian culture that is European-centric, that quite honestly built the world as we know it today. Erase all of that.
It so much more closely applies to what Joe Biden is doing here, too. I mean, you don't need a change in culture to get rid of Harvey Weinstein. Like, the guy's just a criminal, right? Like, I mean, that is just, you do need change in law. You have the laws already set, just arrest the freaking guy. For Joe Biden, with the stuff that he does, it's specifically a change of culture. Like, he is just a guy, he thinks he's charming, and he thinks he can go and just invade anybody else's spaces, and they're all going to giggle and think that it's adorable because he's charming Joe Biden, and everyone always reacts in such a positive way to him because he's the man, and he goes and does whatever he wants. Like, that's a sort of culture that's a legit culture change. He's talking about himself in that clip and also talking incorrectly about the rule of thumb.
And this is why Louis, King Louis was beheaded. This is why the czars were shot. They were completely separated from reality. Changed the culture. That's why I know your name today.
Right.
Because they changed the culture. And what happened to you?
Absolutely. I'm fighting the social Marxist takeover of our country, the desire to transform America. And so we as parents, as mama bears, are pushing back against the radical left. We're pushing back against the child abuse of abortion, for instance. And it's just been amazing to see how simple, ordinary moms and dads can make a huge difference if we'll speak out in our sphere of influence.
I don't know if the audience really knows. You have 10 children.
Right.
So that
Which, first of all, kudos to you for having 10 children. That in itself.
She walked in here on her own power, too. It's crazy.
I know. I just can't even imagine. I have one, and I'm like, how do people have more than one of these?
You know God created us to do this, right?
I know. My wife and I were both having a conversation, and she was like, no, the word is multiply, not replace, multiply.
That's right.
But anyway, you saw the bills that were being passed around that allowed transgender to use whatever bathroom they chose, and you were a mom.
Right. We fought a number of topics. For instance, when Teen Vogue started teaching kids how to sodomize one another in their fashion magazine, I burned a Teen Vogue magazine that was viewed about 15 million times, and we started Operation Pull Teen Vogue. I was ruthlessly mocked, called a Nazi book burner. And 5 months later, Teen Vogue went out of print, a publication that's been in print since I was a little girl. One person can make a huge difference. You just have to be willing to push back against the left and not be bullied by them.
So you had a problem because you were taught how to sodomize each other by Teen Vogue when you were a kid.
No, we were actually being taught how to, don our fingernail polish and what types of
so a
makeup
fashion
to wear.
magazine actually had something to do with fashion. Back then.
We need is a change in culture.
These Marxists.
Was what
Right,
Joe
and it's
said.
crazy. It's crazy. They are turning the culture.
All right, well, thank you for fighting back against creepy Uncle Joe. Back in a minute.
Please tell me that Cosmo Hurts kids ad today. This is the day.
No, I thought that was as we get into the day of mourning, and Elizabeth, I know you have a lot to say on that, I do want to bring into the conversation as well, because I think this goes along with it, all of the things that happened with the Unplanned movie over the weekend. So Glenn, I know that you were at a showing of it in Utah.
Ended up being 7.
7 showings.
There was.
Can you
one.
recite the movie by this point?
I didn't see them all. I just went and opened them all. It was at 2 different megaplexes, and ran out of theaters in one, went to the other one, and so they showed 7 showings of it. And the governor was there. The turnout was really quite amazing. In fact, Utah, which never, you could see the mail I got today from people who watched it and said, I've never been to a rated R movie. And it was packed. In fact, per screen, it did double the amount of money in Utah than the rest of the country. That's amazing. That's remarkable. That's like, oh, really? You think we're afraid? You think you're going to make it rated R and you're going to stop us and that's going to make a difference? They were targeting all Christians, but the movie company was now saying, now there's no support from Mormons at all. And they heard that call and rose to the occasion.
The Glenn Beck effect.
It was an amazing weekend, and I think that it was good. I hope that more people came and do come with their children as this goes on, because it's really important that we can't, for this table, to go to that movie,
Right.
doesn't do anything.
Right.
We need this table to go get our children, and we also need to go get our friends who are on the fence or not really where we are all the time, and just say, hey, come watch this movie, because it will change lives.
Did you guys see what happened to the movie's account on Twitter over the weekend? They got suspended. At one point, they were not sure why. It just automatically, just randomly, oh, look, we're suspended. And
That
then
happens all the time. It's like a reverse lottery. The most important
On
time.
launch weekend.
Yeah,
Right.
the most important time, all of a sudden, it could just go,
Yeah, well, and then
please.
people were taking videos, screenshot videos of trying to go and follow the page. And they would go and follow Unplanned Movie page and then back out and then go back to it, and it was not followed anymore. Which is something that it's happened to my Twitter as well. So I know that they do it. Can't tell me that that's a coincidence.
Oh, it's not.
Why is the left so horrified that we show the public the truth about abortion if abortion is so wonderful?
Yeah,
Why
is it
not
rated
just show it?
R
Yeah, wait,
if the
that's it. Why
Why would it
violence
be
is
rated R? Yeah,
a bunch
this
of
is.
cells,
It's
right?
just. Isn't it like a dental appointment?
Yeah,
I thought that's
exactly.
what they said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Elizabeth, tell us about the day of mourning that you have coming up. And I know we do have a short clip of it as well whenever you want to.
Okay, sure. Why don't you show it now?
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and play the
Over 61 million other little boys and girls just like me were not to be given an opportunity to live.
The Lord is beginning to mobilize. We are shifting from apathy to action in Jesus' name. That is what God is doing.
Let us become the ember that turns into flames, that turns into a forest fire that sweeps this nation, God.
This is our time to rise, to be the salt and the light, to be the city set up on a hill that will not be hidden. You can't be hidden, church.
My dream is that abortion will no longer exist.
Was that in New York?
Yes, sir. That was in Albany.
That is Albany, New York.
We were literally underneath the State House where Governor Cuomo and the radical feminists all applauded and cheered as they signed the execution of babies, into law. We were underneath that facility there at the State House. It was a powerful gathering of almost 4,000 individuals and 40,000 watching via live stream, all of us mourning and repenting over the sin of abortion. And we are headed to Richmond, Virginia, because speaking of creepy, we believe that Governor Northam's comments about babies were very creepy. His comments that a parent should be allowed after the baby is delivered to decide whether or not they are going to save the life of that child or execute that baby is very creepy. This is child abuse. You want to talk about child abuse?
It's infanticide.
Abortion is
It's neglect.
child abuse.
This
yes.
is neglect. I mean, they were actually talking about neglect. If a woman had a baby, a girl couldn't have an abortion, so she had a baby, and she left it in a trash can in a hospital and left it, she'd be nailed for abandonment and neglect. What doesn't apply if you're in the right room of a hospital?
That's a great point.
We're sick as a culture. We're monsters.
We are.
We're savages because we've allowed this to go on. And so what we have said is this is enough. For 46 years, we have allowed this bloodshed, and we are going to do what God wants us to do. We're going to repent for this. We're going to ask for His forgiveness, and we're going to do everything in our power to end this bloodshed. And so if your viewers can go to dayofmourning.org, they will see how they can get connected. You do need a ticket to get into the Saturday event.
Can you tell the audience and the guys here, you and I talked off air about the little girl that was
Yes.
in that promo clip. Can you tell them who she is? Because I just find this to be so remarkable. I got chills when you told me. So
Blythe that you heard there, she will be speaking as well again at the Richmond, Virginia event, and Blythe's mother was considering aborting her, and my friend Jessica and her husband chose to adopt Blythe, and now God is using Blythe to rescue other children, and her mother does what you saw them doing outside the Unplanned movie. The people who go outside to the sidewalks and pray, just the people that reached Abby Johnson in the movie Unplanned. Her mother does that and has a ministry called Option Adoption, and they connect these mothers who are considering abortion with a forever family who will adopt these babies instead of allowing these babies to be killed. So Blythe will be sharing again. It will be a powerful time this Saturday in Richmond, Virginia.
that is so amazing. We've had conversations on this show that, woman to woman, quite frankly. I used to, 10 years ago, it wasn't that I was not pro-life, but I was like, okay, guys, we gotta just stop talking about it, right? You watched the Republican debates, and you were like, all right, I'm with you, but could you please stop talking about it because you're going to turn people off? Because the mainstream average person was just like, oh, I just don't want to talk about this. And I think that there are
And
a lot
nobody
of...
thought it could be changed.
Right, and I think that there were a lot of people out there who were similar to me, and then it's like, I'm with you, but can we just talk about the other policies first? Like, I'm with you in silence, but I'm uncomfortable talking about it, and
Very
it
common.
is right. It is
Very
what it
common.
is. Now I think we're seeing a shift.
That's good.
In that, yeah, and I mean,
The left,
I'm
the
along
left
with
has
them.
overplayed its hand,
Yes.
I believe, which
Yes.
is working to our benefit. And there was a time in culture when we thought the same about slavery. Can we just stop talking about it? And during that time, it was unthinkable that slavery would have been outlawed. And I believe there will be a time when abortion will be as unthinkable as slavery is today. We have got to catch a vision for this. We are casting a vision for this, the ending of not just some abortion, but all abortion. Just like we are disgusted by the thought of slavery, we should be disgusted by the child abuse of abortion, the bigotry and the discrimination of these babies through abortion.
Yeah, and I think that you're right. I think that they did overplay their hand entirely, because whereas, someone like me, someone who used to say, I'm not going to talk about it, I agree with you, but I'm not going to talk about it. Now, I'm just as vocal as you are about it, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they have become so radicalized. You've got Governor Northam out there, saying let's kill babies. And those of us who were just kind of quiet are now starting to speak up. So thank you again for all of the work.
What's amazing is, let's say we outlaw abortion. The system the way it is, in 30 or 40 years, the narrative in schools will be that the left stopped abortion and it was the right
Reverse.
that wanted the children dead.
We'll get there, America, because that will eventually happen.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's a good outcome. I'm happy to be blamed.
Yes.
If we can actually keep
I'll take
a
it.
bunch of kids alive.
Yeah.
Amen,
It's
amen.
a good outcome.
All right, back in a minute. All right, Elizabeth, tell everyone one more time where they can go if they would like to be a part of the Day of Mourning.
Dayofmourning.org. We have a donate link there, but most importantly, we have a registration link. You need a free ticket to get into the event on Saturday.
It's this Saturday?
Yes.
Okay, all right. This Saturday, make sure you go to dayofmourning.org. Also, in case you didn't catch it, Glenn, you had an amazing podcast with Abby Johnson.
Yeah, we had a great conversation with her, and you can binge on all these podcasts now, but Abby was amazing because she told the true story. And if you haven't seen the movie or have and want to hear it in her own words, she tells a compelling story and gets more into the business of Planned Parenthood, which is so grotesque. It's one of the worst things I've ever heard, and I really think between her story of love, as opposed to hate and anger,
Yes.
Coupled with just the exposure of the way they do business, it's a toxic chemical for those in Planned Parenthood.
All right, catch that wherever you get your podcast, and we'll see you in overtime.